Hello everyone and welcome to another video. My name is Kray, and for everyone who might be wondering what happened to my original character content, here it is. Today we're taking one of my first OCs from my very first story and fixing her disappointing character by putting her into the same world as my OCs Vita and Elise. Trigger warning, this video has a lot of bombs, and I end up depicting with the character design what it may look like when one is non-fatally blown up by a bomb. Non-fatally meaning she walks away pretty much fine. So just tread lightly with this one. It's a much darker OC video, and with all that said, let's jump right into it. This OC video is going to be structured just a little differently because I didn't need to iterate on this design at all. It's one of the ones that just kind of clicked for me first try. So I'm doing this concept full body and then a finished piece. Like I said in the intro, this is one of the first OCs from a story I wrote when I was a tween, and I can't even look at this one without cringing. I have a binder with the full completed story printed out, and yeah, for a preteen's first attempt, it was pretty good. But I can do so much better now. The characters were definitely the worst part. No, that's a lie, but I'll get into that one later. The characters were all very flat and only had one personality trait that I would turn off when the plot demanded it. This character, whose name is Marine, yes, I said Marine, oh my gosh, I'll explain why this was such a weird choice when I go over the story. She was the brave character and was probably the best written one in the story, but like a certain animated movie with a certain villain, best character does not always equal good character. Anyway, what I did with Marine in my redesign is I put her on the side of science in the war. If you're confused, you should go watch my video on Vita and Elise. It explains a lot more, but basically this story has a war between magic and science, and it doesn't have a real hero or villain. Marine is pretty diabolical though. In her original story, she had fire powers because I was into that trope, so her main role in the science group is that she makes bombs. It's something she's really good at after years of practice and some natural skill for explosives, but when she was younger, and this correlates to a way less bad accident she had in the old story, she flew too close to the sun and was making a bomb unsupervised at like 12, and it blew up on her. She survived and nobody else was hurt, but it left her with this huge scar on her body. She lost a finger and her left eye went blind. It was a massive adjustment for her because Marine was naturally left-handed, but had to learn to use her right hand since her left is understandably weaker now. But she didn't let that stop her. Her parents almost did, though. Marine's parents became very coddling after her accident, like parents would probably tend to do in that situation, but Marine did not like it. She's also like 16 or 17 compared to being 13 or 14 in her OG story. Speaking of the OG story, I act like these are just straight up OCs, and they might as well be with how much I changed. But they're technically fandom OCs, because 11-year-old me spent 2 or 3 years writing a Super Mario Bros. Fanfic. I cringe saying that like my channel isn't basically one big fanfic, but this gets so much worse, because around the same time as I started this story, my family watched the Disney Descendants movies for the first time. So guess what I did? Yup, blonde and has a name starting with M-A? Marine was Mario and Peach's fan kid, and that's what I meant with the name. Like really, Marine? Really, Kray? You could have been normal, but no, you had to be quirky and make a pun giving her a water name because she had fire powers. Marine wasn't even the main character. Rosalina's kid was, and she needs her own video because, oh my goodness, it was bad. Moving on, because I cannot take it anymore. Obviously, science-loving Marine does not have any elemental magic, and I'm actually so happy with how this turned out. You can get a lot of her personality from her design. Like, we can get that she doesn't really care about her own safety, given that she's wearing barely any safety equipment, that she's not ashamed of her injury because she covers up as little of it as she can. She's always ready to fight, which we can see from her bag full of bombs, and her wide stance gives off a sense of confidence. Probably one of my best character designs. Her head is also half-shaved because the accident blew it all off, and when it grew back, she didn't want it to cover her facial scars. Also, real quick chipped tooth. It's not relevant at all, I just think it's cool. And here she is, my redesigned Marine. I think she turned out really, really great, guys. I feel like the pose turned out a little wonky, but this totally did its job of helping me design the character, and this is probably my favorite character design I've ever really done. So I think we should move on to the next part of the video. Okay, so before we move on, I just want to show off this sketchbook page I did of Marine that I really, really liked, so I'm showing it off. You can see that I have a couple of headshots for staying stuff, like how her parents want her to cover the scars and that she likes intimidating people with them. I also chose to change her name from Marine to Marion, but I kept Marine as an unwanted nickname thanks to her fear of water, which was also in the original story. I don't know, maybe it's like a metaphor for everyone trying to water down her fiery personality, but really the name just kind of glued itself to the character. Starting off simple, concept is that our girlie just lit a bomb and is walking away from the explosion while lighting another one. Do I know where? No. Do I know why? Also no, but I do know that it looks cool. I did grab a Pinterest reference for the hand holding the match, and honestly, foreshortening has never really actually been that hard for me, so for once, I drew a picture where both the hands actually look really good. I was originally gonna keep Marine a little on the younger side to showcase how corrupt the organization she works for is, making, a young teen fight for them. Because like I said, there's no real villain in this story, the organizations are the villain. We all love a good dystopia with a corrupt government system, don't we? And Marine is one of the scientific army's favorites. She's never left the base except for war-related reasons, so she's completely on board with the science good, magic bad policy. She does absolutely anything asked of her and will not hesitate to remove her enemies. Everyone on Magic's side knows who she is and terrified of her. A rule of thumb with them is if you encounter Marine, don't engage. Run and hope she does not find you. And they have every right to be afraid. The scientific organization, man, I need to get better names, encourages free thinking and creativity, but Marine thinks methodically, practically. She prefers patterns and plans to mixing random chemicals, which is very important in her line of work. She's smart in a different way from everyone else, so the magicians cannot fight her in the same way they do everyone else. But the thing that makes her absolutely terrifying, in my opinion, is her apathy. She's been hurt by her creation. She is fully aware of the pain she causes, and she just doesn't care. She is so completely convinced that the people for the magic organization, please give me name ideas, are less than people that she can see through her scars what she's doing and think her actions are justified. And it's not just her that thinks this way. Almost everyone on both sides has this mindset. Marine just takes hers too far. And I would like it known that I am not saying what she's doing is right, or that she is a hero, or that she is in the good here. Marine absolutely does need to change. She is hurting people, and because she's still just a kid thinking what she's doing is right, she's in this weird middle ground where she simultaneously does and doesn't realize the absolute gravity of what she's doing, but that doesn't make her actions any less wrong. It just makes her as much of a victim of the system as everyone she's hurt. Moving away from the, psychological evaluations, my first go at the explosion background was using the cloud brush, but I quickly abandoned that and went in with my usual paintbrush to block in shapes that I'd blur later. I also did have a reference for this. It was kind of white in the middle and turned brown on some edges, and I ended up using the smudge tool before I blurred it just so it would fit more with my art style. I was also very careful with my values because I wanted everything to be readable, and it does end up getting adjusted later to help with that. I knew immediately that I wanted Marine to be backlit, so I do end up putting a dark red multiply layer over her and erased around her edges and then blended it out so I could get the vibe that it was dark and there was a bright light behind her. Also, so random, but I love how unbothered she is. Queen is just completely fine with the massive explosion that's probably too close for comfort. She's great. I love my little unhinged child. I added some glowy yellow to the same edges I erased, just so it would be even brighter. And I do this all later. Then I went in with my character shadows and highlights just in the way I usually do it. I gotta say though, I'm really, really happy with how I end up shading her scars. I wanted it to look like they're kinda I don't know what the right word would be, but the vibe I wanted definitely ends up coming across. Also, I really hope this isn't going to be like offensive, because there are real people that have had this happen to them, and I absolutely do feel for those people, and their injuries are not something at all to be laughed at or poked fun at. But I also am 100% sure that without those scars, Marine's design would be fine, but a lot more, kind of boring, I guess, just from a character design and fictional character standpoint. But I do feel for anyone that has gone through something similar to Marine. And I'm also not saying that all these people end up with a personality the way her personality is. She just is kind of unhinged based on her environment, but real people would not end up reacting to their situation in that way. Yeah. I've spent this whole video kind of throwing Marine under the bus and making it sound like she has no good qualities whatsoever, but she does okay. She's got her imperfections. Mostly imperfections, to be honest. But she has some nice parts, too. Like I said, she's willing to do anything asked of her. That goes both ways. Marine is the type where if she says she'll do something, she gets it done. If you're her friend, she's got your back and will go ham on anyone who tries to hurt you. She's very extreme with everything she does and takes her friendships seriously. If you're in a tough spot, she's in it with you. If you're in your best place, she's there too. She's super loyal, mostly, once again, coming from her environment, but more her parents who stressed to her from a really young age how important loyalty was. Plus, she's just kind of fun to be around. She's the type to always crack jokes and keep the conversation interesting, and honestly, it would really only take making one magician friend to throw all of Marine's beliefs out of whack and get her to question all of her morals. And then I could write angst where she struggles with knowing everything she's done. And here it is. I love how this turned out. I love her expression. I love the lighting. I love all the fun effects I added later with layer modes. I just think this is the best thing I've ever really drawn for this story, and I think Marine is probably my new favorite OC, and I just love her so much. And with that, let's move on to the outro. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. At least the few of you that stuck around after I mentioned explosives. If you did like this video, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and leave a comment down below with all your thoughts. Also, if the audio sounds a little weird in this video, it's because I just got a mic and I'm kind of still learning how to use it. And with all that said, have a great day, everyone. See ya!